Ask Reddit Bilaticosmico. What is a public figure or artist who has done horrible things but that people continue to follow or listen? Not extremely well known I think, but Ethan Cath, aka Claudio Paolo Palmieri, from Crystal Castles. He abused Alice Glass physically, mentally, sexually and financially for like a decade. Too bad he's an awful person. He's a very talented producer musician. Fuck, that's sad to hear. Let me just tell you that the weatherman from my hometown has more than a dozen aggravated assault charges from beating his wife and is still worshipped. I hate the man and all that he stands for. Probably not the same guy, but the TV weatherman from Green Bay when I was growing up, 60s and amp. 70s, was universally thought to be a nice grandfatherly type. Gave talks to schools all the time and amp, was active in the community. Until he was caught exposing himself to the neighborhood kids in his garage. Boy George falsely imprisoned a male escort by handcuffing him to a wall and beating him with a metal chain. Wait, what? Boy George drugged and handcuffed Auden Carlson to his radiator, battered and sexually assaulted him. He served a 4-month sentence and now he's on all sorts of reality shows and no one seems to remember what a monster he is. In my opinion, he should never be allowed on television or to realize music again. This one always confuses me. Whenever I see him doing something recent, I think, wait, didn't he imprison and assault someone? Then I think, must be thinking of someone else. No way he'd still be getting work if it were him. I am real fucking naive sometimes. Roman Polanski. I can't for the life of me understand why people still work with him. He has won Academy Awards that he couldn't accept in person because he can't enter the US. You know, because he drugged and raped a teenager. I always thought Jack Nicholson got out of that way too easily. Everybody should hate Polanski for raping an underage girl. But not enough people were asking what an unattended underage girl was doing at Jack Nicholson's house. Ezra Miller should probably be in jail. He could still very much go to jail. Authorities will often investigate right up until the statute of limitations to make their arrests. Some of his crimes were felonies, so they've got at least 3 years to make their move. Anyone in the Church of Scientology? Amen. My sweetheart of a sister-in-law joined the cult. Without telling my brother, she applied for several credit cards with high credit limits and maxed them out to give them money. She's a doctor. No one's gonna mention Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. Fans signed over legal custody of their daughter to him at 16 He then raped and drugged her for a couple of years, made her get an abortion and then dumped her back to her parents' home. He's finally being charged, but holy shit, that was a long time. She brought up formal charges because CA law regarding the statute of limitations had changed to allow old cases, and basically everyone's online response was she's lying, she's money hungry, why now, how can you even prove that? Well, it's hard not to prove it, when he bragged about it in his autobiography and thanked her in the acknowledgements by name lol. I hear Bill Cosby is planning a comedy tour for next year, hoping for a complete boycott. That revelation hurt. Grew up listening to his Noah's Ark bit and my parents owned his records. I'm glad Dick Van Dyke didn't do anything wrong. Steven Tyler. People bitch about MJ. Steven Tyler is just out walking around. The Duggar family. Our Duggar snark is one hell of a rabbit hole. Most of those who sprang to mind have been mentioned, but how about prosperity church cretins faith healing con artists like Joel Osteen or Peter Popoff? I cannot believe that they have followers still, it's unfathomable. Edit, wow, this blew up. I wanna say that I just finished reading all the responses, and thank people for mentioning other examples like Kenneth Copeland, Benny Hinn, John Hagee, Jimmy Swaggart, Ted Haggard, Brian Tamaki, Creflo Dollar, the family of Oral Roberts, and their counterparts in other places in the world such as Africa, etc. And say that I'm very sorry for those of you in the comments that had to deal with family members and friends falling victim to these leeches in human skin. You can't convince me that Kenneth Copeland isn't the Antichrist. Caitlyn Jenner's terrible driving hasn't seen much backlash. Buckle up, buckaroo. Dr. Phil. Yep. He knows he's exploiting mentally ill teens, young adults for views on his show. Plus the abuse allegations from the ranch where he sent tons of kids teens to go for weeks. Nicki Minaj. A continual supporter of the men in her life that rape children. I used to listen to her a lot in high school, and a commenter above mentioning Roman Polanski reminded me that her evil alter ego during like 2011 to 2014 was named Roman Zelensky. Gloria Trevi, well-known Mexican singer who, with her ex-boyfriend, human trafficked 30 underage girls at least. Her boyfriend received all the charges and she's still touring and suing anyone for making comments on the matter. Roman Polanski. Dude, for real. I had no idea he did any of the stuff he did. I watched his adaptation of Shakespeare's Macbeth, and looked him up afterwards. His wiki is just like yup. He's a movie director alright, with basically the side note that he's a pedophile. Dude's just in France, still making movies like nothing happened. What the hell? Roman Polanski. A 14-year-old cannot consent to sex, and she was drugged. And Whoopi Goldberg supports him like he was the second coming of Christ. Whoopi Goldberg has been a rape apologist on more than one occasion. Chris Brown. Don't know why people still support him. Jared Leto. He really gives me Charles Manson vibes and should be on a watch list. Tom Cruise is basically a co-leader of a cult that enslaves and traffics people, yet we all line up to see his movies. It's always wild when people talk about the conspiracy that Jews control the entertainment industry for nefarious purposes, when we literally have multiple A-list actors who are part of Scientology, which is an actual cult. Drake. He's a predator, a creep, but people don't mind apparently. Drake is just peak that guy. Every time he pulls some shit, people roll their eyes and then keep working with him and keep listening to him. Oh, you know, it's Drake. He's always like that. He shouldn't be. George Santos hasn't spoken a single word of truth and he's still a member of Congress. That interview I saw where he said, "I didn't say I was Jewish. I said I was Jewish" is cringe-worthy at best. He is a liar. Period. There is no other way to see it. The fact that he is supposed to be representing his district is scary. Bill Murray's wife divorced him because he was an abusive alcoholic. He joked with Gina Davis when she auditioned for the one movie he directed by making her use a vibrator on a bed in front of him when she didn't want to. He threw a female producer into a lake on the set of What About Bob? One of his most recent movies shut down production when he grabbed a young PA, held her down on a bed and pretended to have sex with her, then threw a fit when no one in the cast or crew laughed. And What About Bob is one of my favorite films. R. Kelly. People follow him? Well, at my kid's school the cult of Andrew Tate seems to be quite a thing. And we are in the UK. I live in Romania and he is here and I have to see his fucking face every day on TV. Makes me wanna throw up. Chris Brown. See Monday people, he regularly beats women, rapes women and traffics drugs. Is there seriously no one else you can listen to? I won't even play a song with him in it. He is vile and disgusting. Not as bad as him, but Eric Clapton has some interesting views. https://en.wikipedia.org/Eric_Clapton #political_views. Really, there's a ton of celebrities I wish I knew less about, but the internet. Whoopi Goldberg. Anti-Semitic but decided to adopt a Jewish last name that isn't hers. Yikes. I've seen countless people consider Tupac their hero, and specifically praise his love of women, despite him being a convicted gang rapist. Right, or everyone is focused on Tekashi 69 for being a snitch when he gang raped a 13-year-old girl and filmed, and now flaunts it making songs like Candy. Deleted. Look up Bill Wyman from the Rolling Stones too. Ike Turner. Chris Brown, Kanye, and Travis Scott are still huge in the music world. It's like nobody cares. Edit. Forgot Cardi B, she won a Grammy the year she admitted to drugging and robbing men after seducing them. Andrew Tate, Travis Scott. I'm actually surprised anyone follows that. The guy sounds like a parody. It took me a long time to realize he's actually serious. IDK about you, but Drake is gonna be R. Kelly 2.0. Hitler? I mean, some people follow him still. The more I hear about this Hitler guy, the more I don't care for him. Chris Brown. Fuck that guy. I'm a ranch boy currently in rehab in the big city and these city boys love him. I fucking hate it here, 7 months sober today, but this Chris Brown crap needs to stop. I think about cancel culture and how that fuckboy is still famous and rich after kicking the shit out of Rihanna. Fuck that. Congrats on 7 months sober. Travis Scott. Fuck him and AMP, the Astro World event that he encouraged people to crowd and stampede to fucking madness. I can't believe nothing happened about that since. Elvis and his pedophile tendencies. Particularly a fondness for 14-year-old girls in white panties. It's not a secret, but it tends to be ignored. But when you go down that rabbit hole, you find a lot of well-loved people acted in a similar way. Pop and rock stars were not bothered about age. They even called them baby groupies. Famously, Jimmy Page had a relationship with Laurie Matix, who was 13 when they met. Elvis held my grandma's hand and sang to her at a concert once. He then kissed her hand and whispered for her to see him. I didn't think anything bad of it until a few years ago she confessed she was 14. Gargamel. People keep mentioning him till they are blue in the face, but nobody cares. 6x99. This'll probably get buried, but Eric fucking Clapton. Turns out he's just a massive racist piece of shit. Also admitted to beating and raping his first wife. And he's cheated on every partner he's ever had, according to him. Dr. Phil. Henry Kissinger. The fact he's still alive shows karma can't be real. Woody F. King Allen. Goddamn, every time I see the name Woody my mind goes straight to Woody Harrelson. Piers Morgan. Some seem to have totally forgot the impact his actions had on Billy Dowler's murder case. Ellen. Emma Roberts beat up her then boyfriend Evan Peters, then continued to co-star in the same show as him,